Hopeful New Day from Hopeful Uproar on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, as well as TikTok. I want to share a little background knowledge about myself. I started working when I was 13 years old, witnessing my mom and what she's gone through, the many injustices in regards to the individual she chose to join hands with, not holding up his part of the promise and marriage. So I would see her cry at times, and it really affected me. So I got a job early. I walked around the neighborhood, and someone gave me a chance. It was associates, and I was able to pack bags. I did that as well as helping to organize people's closet, clean up their apartments, run errands, etc. Preceding that, on to the years, I worked with children when I was about 16 years old. I worked with a child with behavioral challenges, assisting her with homework, assisting her with behavioral regulation, assisting her with remaining safe and not doing anything that would harm herself or others, and just assisting her with social emotional support because she was the only child at the time. Proceeding on, I worked at different facilities until unfortunately they're closing because a lot of them were open for 30 plus years, 25 plus years. And sometimes you do all you can and the business cannot remain afloat. I'm currently working at a extended child care facility that has been open for 30 plus years. I'm so proud of that facility. And I've been working off and on at the facility since I was in my early 20s, and I'm in my 40s now. Anywho, let's get to the point. On that job at present, I met different individuals where we both, or all of us in some kind of way, learned from each other. I believe, based on the habitual evidence, we all were graced with different gifts and abilities from Yahweh Jah Jehovah alongside Christ Jesus Yahshua above the heavens. So we all have different gifts and graces that we could continue to share with each other and collaborate with each other for the betterment of our community. I've been working with children of all kinds of ages, from all kinds of backgrounds, special needs, etc. for 25 plus years. So in the process of all that, you're going to develop some type of healthy relationship with your coworker, hoping to be able to collaborate for the well-being of the children. So in this process, I've met two women, and I've worked with them at different points in times, and they seem to have a very challenging time, which we've all had and been through, because we all evidently have and still are enduring dynamics, challenges, and traumas that no one is completely aware of and understands on a level of Yahweh Jah Jehovah. And no one completely knows on a level of Yahweh Jah Jehovah. So we all can relate to each other, evidently, on some level, spectrum, and degree. So we tap in tune with our human empathy because we live on a shared planet, and we've all been through different things interchangeably that we can relate to in each other. And you listen in support of the individual, and you believe they're listening in support of you. And in this process, the first young lady, and she's a woman, really, a young woman, shared how she was spoiled. Her parents really gave her pretty much everything that she wanted. But she also felt hindered to some degree because of her parents putting so much pressure on her to kind of oversee them in some kind of way. And her life was, from my understanding, wasn't able to completely bloom because of certain elements besides being spoiled. There were other elements that evidently would do well to be reevaluated, like all of our lives. Also, she spoke about her brother having some problems with substance abuse and other things that altered his interaction with her. And she also had some evident struggles in those areas as well. And it showed at work many times. And so I felt compassion for her because I know the human struggle. I listened, and to make a long story short, I held her stories as something sacred, as something to really keep between her and I, and to use as a bridge for us to continue to support each other and blooming past that. Now that we are not in connection with each other for many years, and I'm going to get to the part as to why I am sharing the story, but very carefully because I still care about people's feelings. We all are priceless individuals of Yahweh, Jah Jehovah's graces. So she is still a cherished and valued gift from Yahweh. And I still view her that way despite what occurred, sadly. And anywho, let me make a long story short. I expressed some viewpoints at work. We got to having a conversation off to the side about, she asked me, why do you think some people on Facebook from Africa pose as European individuals when they are of Black African descent? And I went on to sharing based on so many different experiences, based on history, which we both should know by now, that African people as a whole were marginalized, were not only emotionally abused, verbally abused, physically abused, spiritually abused, all kinds of levels of abuse, sexually abused. And that's why African Americans have, a lot of us have a portion of Caucasian in us because of the sexual abuse. A lot of us, not going to say all Caucasians are set into one tone, but many were abusive. Not all, some fought for the rights of all humankind and were right there in the civil rights movement, some which got executed in the process of sticking up for humanity. But many, at a certain time period, evidently allowed their ego to take over them, and power and the evident need to have lots of prestige and money and power, and went to different parts of the world and took over it and caused adverse damage that still trickles down to 2025. So that was my explanation, and I was speaking on many. This is during the height of the pandemic, by the way. So many people were, I shared with her, were being even more isolated around the world, and they sometimes do all they can to just be able to speak to someone, because evidently feeling so lonely, feeling so scared and not sure what would happen to them or their families, and just needing someone to talk to. So they evidently felt by putting a Caucasian face, they could be more acceptable, which is very sad. And we know the history of abuse. So I shared that with her. I shared my perspective based on habitual research, habitual collaborations, various experiences. I shared my perspective, and she's like, oh, racism has been over for such a long time. It's not like that anymore. And I thought, well, we'd like to believe that, but it evidently is not, hasn't completely gone away. Otherwise, people wouldn't really be doing things like this. They wouldn't feel the need to. So it evidently is still existing, and people wouldn't be still bleaching their skin in parts of Asia and parts of Africa, etc. It's still the effects of slavery times, the effects of the triangular trade, the effects of certain individuals from Europe going to place and take it over in a very volatile way. It still evidently has affected so many. And it goes back to history. Just like we acknowledge certain groups of people have gone through stuff, then we need to also acknowledge the evidence here. So I noticed that shortly after, this is when the series of events unfolded. This is when she started saying online, because at some point you may trust people and you're like, okay, we're both trying to bloom. We both have the goal to progress despite our challenges, despite our past and present traumas, and et cetera. Let's exchange Facebooks, Instagrams, and just empower each other and learn from each other, like I hoped we were doing. Anywho's, she kept saying online, if everyone is saying the same thing, it must be true. And I just got this strong inclination that she was referring to me. At some point, I addressed her on it, and she admitted, I was talking about you. I just wanted to hurt you, basically. And then some time after, within that same spectrum, days are going by, someone commented on my Facebook feed. Now, I have it open because I have nothing to hide. I don't show my face up there. I'm up there to enlighten as I'm being enlightened, to encourage as I'm being encouraged, to empower as I'm striving to be empowered in Yahweh and in Jesus Christ, hoping to continue to build the community and do my part, as others have empowered me in ways they may not even know or ever realize. So someone was commenting, it was evidently a male, and she continued to text me over and over harassively, accusing me of saying, oh, he can't date me and date you at the same time. He can't like me and like you at the same time. I think it was more so that he can't like me and like you at the same time. Harassive. And I was letting her know and reassuring her that I'm not up there for a man. I'm not up there for a date. I'm up there to encourage and to enlighten. That's my purpose with my talk with Yahweh, Jehovah. I'm up there to share things as I've gone through many various of things that even my mom doesn't know about. Things that I've learned through my stupidity, my lack of understanding, my continuous growth process, just sharing information and also learning from people. My go-to was let's empower and be empowered. So that was my mission. I don't know anybody else's mission on social media, but that's my objective. So it was like she didn't believe it. No matter what I said, it just didn't penetrate. Then it went to posting something herself on my second Instagram page that we agreed to join forces together in regards to supporting the parents during the pandemic, which is a very trying time for everybody. And we put different resourceful tips online about what worked for us in the daycare or extended child care facility, rather. We put up things in regards to how to keep a child safe when it comes to emergencies like fire emergency, like children not being lured by strangers, different ways and techniques to teach them that would help them to remember it. Potty training tips. We read stories and animated ways, etc., etc. We even did live lessons, and I enjoyed myself, and she seemed to as well. Even though she wasn't as proactive in regards to posting things, she did have an impact on it, and I truly appreciated her. And we both, I felt, supported each other in supporting the community. Well, she posted herself, and she's a very beautiful woman. She posted herself with a very messy background, and she proceeded to put all these accusations online where parents can see, where children could see, where I don't know who else could see, because it was an open page to the community. Resourceful information and tips, live readings, etc., as I mentioned before. And she made me appear as a person who was trying to exploit her, who was trying to humiliate her, that didn't get her consent in regards to something, and that really adversely affected her, when she actually did it herself. And she evidently did it herself, because even on the Instagram end, the people behind it could see that she posted it herself. I gave her the password, she knew what it was, and she posted herself and set me up and made it look like it was me who did it. She told me at some point she went home and she basically went on this tantrum, and her mother was holding her, her family members were consoling her and making me look like I did something to her that she actually did herself. And I felt like this was like Fatal Attraction, but the female version, versus a female friend that she was acting sort of psychotic in regards to. So I strive to address it, because she went to work as well and told different individuals, which adversely and evidently affected my relationship with them, because they were looking at me funny a lot of times, in a lot of funny ways. Some of them didn't believe it. There were many that proved to be doubtful towards me, and they know that's not in my character bank based on my interactions with them. But you know what? Some people believe you can't put anything past anyone, and I understand that, but that's not my way, and I hope it will never be my way. So people were acting funny. There are people that proceeded to question me. It affected the job energy, the job healthiness, and that proceeded on to her lying habitually in front of my face, in front of my boss's face, and different individuals, just denying, deflecting. And she went to saying she wanted to kill herself when she was addressed with it. And just continued to lie. It went to that where I felt the need to call the cops because she was marching past my class, sweating, with the children behind her in her class, because we were not in the same class at the time because of the things that went on. And she's sweating and staring at me like a fatal attraction, and marching and singing with the children and smirking and looking at me sweating. And I called the cops at some point because of the harassment online and in person, and the character assassination, which affected me mentally, emotionally. It affected my job interactions with other individuals. It affected the children, I'm sure, in some kind of way. Witnessing that habitually. I mean, we're all human. We at times err. We fall short of God's glory, but this was habitual. So that's when it becomes abusive, and that's when it becomes more toxic. People make mistakes. People are working through things, and sometimes they slip in the tongue. They slip in the things that they do. But she continued to lie, and she continued to harass, and she continued to deny and deflect, and cause a strain in the job atmosphere. So the cops said, unfortunately, we cannot do anything unless somebody physically assaults you. And I felt that to be very sad, because there are many people who could have been alive right now that it started with verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, habitual smear campaigns, habitual gaslighting, all these other things. And then it went to physical. So does it have to go to that? No, that's sad. We need to have some more laws reevaluated in regards to that. And now, I don't know what this woman went through, because we've all been through stuff, and she don't know what I've been through. I could have been doing the same thing, but I choose to continuously look into myself. That's why I engage in scriptural based discourses that are based on the scriptures, that is historical, that is proven by many archaeologists. It correlates, and many scientists are beginning to believe in God, Yahweh. So I go there because I want to continue to have that healthy self-reflection and make those healthy adjustments, because I care about others as I strive to care about myself and our flaws and all. I know that Yahweh is looking on. I care about people as Jehovah cares about every single one of us. So I choose. No one's putting a gun to my head. I don't care about what people would do if I stepped out. I want to practice healthier coping mechanisms and habits, because it has proven to be helpful and useful. It has proven to make this world a healthier and more constructive place in regards to those who choose to continuously heed it, apply it, move forward in it. And I'm one of millions of people who can testify to that. So I could have been doing the same things because of my childhood and adult traumas and my childhood and adult challenges, but I choose not to because I care about other people besides myself. I've always had an intrigue to find things online in the library that can help me to self-improve in a way that cares about myself and others. We all struggle with our self-esteem at times based on many things and factors, but we can choose to be better people. And we can choose to get intervention. There's so many resources, free resources at the library, which I used to love. We went there for the summers and we got free food at the, corner school. So I enjoyed it. And I've always was curious about listening to different people's and individuals' perspectives on life and learning and being the best person I could be in my imperfection. And I was hoping to share that with other ladies and we could empower each other. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. So nothing really was ironed out in regards to that. And I kept telling her, I can't walk on water. I can't split a couple of fish and feed millions. I didn't come from heavens. I'm no perfect. So I want you to be transparent, authentic. I'm imperfect. I battle stuff as well. Be honest with me. She continued to lie. She continued to lie and she continued to lie. So there was no way we can rectify the situation. And it caused, I don't know how many other people to be stumbled from listening to Yahweh, because they could have evidently fell into the lies. I don't know how many other lies she smeared in regards to me, but Jehovah's name was involved, and that was my main concern. Now, moving on to the second woman that worked with me, I noticed that other people on the job did not want to work with her. And I said, you know what? We all been through something. She seems kind. She seemed like a very down to earth individual. And I was like, okay, we're going to work together. Now, sadly, situations popped up as well. Now, she was sharing situations about her BF at the time and how he would talk to her in reckless ways. And I was trying to understand why she continued to feel drawn to that. And I know that myself, it took me a long time to learn certain lessons with people. But even then, I had certain boundaries I wouldn't completely cross. But I didn't understand the seemingly obsession with someone who would dog you out like that and wanting to still even feel to even lie down with him after all of that disrespect when he's not more than you and you're not more than him. We're all graced to miracles, and out of a few to millions of spermatozoa possibly on a day of conception, we were the ones who evidently made it through. So we're living, breathing miracles. And I couldn't understand why anybody would feel desperate for anyone, because we're all miracles. We all graced. None of us are over each other. We're all walking this planet. And there's so many others to choose from besides choosing someone who's going to treat you like snot that they basically blow out their nose. So I was like, okay, I don't understand this. But getting close to that individual and listening to stories, and I thought we were empowering and listening to each other, it got to a point where she was very angry. She talked about her mom and them not having really a stable, healthy relationship. She was the only child. And again, similar theme is that I got a lot of what I want, but that emotional, continuous emotional support from their mom wasn't there, as far as they seemed to have to focus more on their mother's emotional and basically being a sacrifice to the hurt that they didn't really truly deal with, and be around them and not really get what they really need to be filled in them because it wasn't evidently addressed by the parent consistently. So it was so much, but they both admitted they were sort of like given a whole lot of things, which I cannot relate to. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up sharing beds. We slept on opposite ends of the bed. We got free food. During the summer times, we chose to get jobs early to help out. We wore hand-me-downs. We barely had space in that cramped up apartment, but my mom did the best she could, and I'm grateful for my life. We used to make houses out of cardboard boxes. And the Barbies we got from Bobby's, when we finally got, earned some money, we wrapped it up in socks. We had a cat at the time, so we used the Meow Mix for food in the box that we made a mansion. We had a little big box we got off the street and made it a dollhouse, and we were able to utilize our imagination more. So I could not relate to the spoiled part. I couldn't relate to the part where they said that they got a lot of what they wanted. They got to go different places. I could not relate to that. But I could relate to the human struggle as far as my mom didn't always have the time to be there for me emotionally. And I had at some point counseling in middle school. I also had resource room because I wasn't processing things because of certain things that went on in the home when my father was around for the short time and after, as far as my mom being overwhelmed at times, and rightfully so. It was a lot. Not really having space and privacy, sufficient privacy and space. Different things going on at home as far as some of my sisters developing evidence of mental and emotional ailments, and some of which live with it now at present, and the serious ailments. And we went through a lot there. We went through a lot and still going through a lot in different ways. But anyway, I related to the human experience, and I thought I was listening to someone where we could empower each other. I felt like I was becoming very close to her, and we kind of trauma bonded. And I made her a collage because she lost, sadly, temporarily, had to say goodbye to her son, her only son. She has 2 children, and I felt the pain in my soul because we know how it feels to lose people we love temporarily. And I believe in a hope. Based on the scriptural hope, I don't believe when people pass away physically that's the end of the road. I believe in the hopes of they're in the book of remembrance, like Malachi 3:16 and 17. They can be resurrected in much better times, and like it says in John 5:28 and 29, and there will be no mourning and outcry someday, like it says in Revelation 21. There are many hopes, and I know there's a Yahweh above the heavens, because who else created the earth on a precise axis so as not to collide and so as to sustain the world? I mean, everything is so mathematical in science and outer space and on the earth and in us, the human brain, the way it coincides with other parts of the body. I know that there's a creator, a designer, because the Big Bang Theory and it does not correlate with the evidence. But anywho, I made a collage with the hopes from the Bible. I made her some jewelry. I was sharing lots of support with her, listening after work, even though I was tired. We both were tired from coming from work, working with children of different needs, changing diapers. Now, she got mad many times, but on this particular occasion, she was folding her arms, very angry, and I proceeded to ask her, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "You know you're not as innocent as you say you are. You seem to be," whatever to those terms. And you know, you got schizophrenia. That was another accusation. You're a hoarder. That was another accusation, even though on her turfs, that proved to be more of what it was, but we're going to go back. Another thing is that she tried to imply I was touching on the kids in regards to the way I wipe them, because I'm going to treat the children as I treat myself. I don't like to be half wiped because my booty itches when I half wipe and my front itches if I half wipe. So I'm going to wipe them like I would wipe myself. I don't like to feel uncomfortable. And when you clean them properly without rubbing on them extra, because I don't want nobody touching on me. I've been through that as a child and I don't like it. I didn't like it and I still don't like it. Violation. So I was not ever wiping on the children like that. And anybody witnessing can see that. I wipe them properly where you go in between and slightly, you put the little ointment and make sure that they're clean. They're smiling and they're laughing because they feel clean. And that's the way I would want to be treated. And thank you for the people who wiped my stinky pamper when I was a baby. So she's implying all these accusations that could have got me to permanently lose my job. And of course, people evidently did not believe it because the evidence did not point that way behind closed doors or in front of other people and above the heavens. Above the heavens could see that all the accusations were complete faults and lies. And they were cruel accusations. I don't care how angry you are. You have no right to bring out all the vile things you could possibly bring out to hurt somebody because you're hurting, because I'm hurting too. And I've been through heartache too. And I've been through losses too. And I've been through traumas too. It's not all about you. Skipping that, I gave her another chance. We ended up at the beach with another friend. It was some therapy time. And she's telling me about having a big fight with her daughter. And they didn't have such a healthy relationship. And I basically shared with her, because that day when she was accusing me of all this stuff, she's like, "I'm just doing that to protect you because my daughter is such and such." And I'm like, thinking in my mind, do you think your daughter is a loose booty because she made a mistake with one person and she got pregnant? Because that could have happened to any of us. That doesn't make her a loose booty or whore or whatever that you're trying to make me out to be. She's way younger than me, and obviously we're two individuals. I didn't end up doing the things that her daughter did, but her daughter is a beautiful, intelligent, capable person that made a mistake that I almost got into myself, and I'm no better than her, and she's no better than her because she made mistakes that were grievous more than her daughter, and you're still running behind a person that evidently you're sharing with me is not treating you that great. So how could you really school your daughter if you're not living that life yourself? And I was sharing that with her as a friend, because you can't be really preaching something but you're living opposite, because children are not going to really take you seriously. And I felt for the daughter because the daughter, again, is a victim of what happened evidently to her, where the parent hasn't really dealt with their emotional and psychological traumas and physical traumas, and they kind of spill over to the children subconsciously. And it goes on, generational traumas go on and on because people not addressing what's inside of them and being completely honest about what they went through and really getting that intervention. So anyways, to make a long story short, we went to the beach for some therapy time with some other friends, and she begins to tell me about the fight she had with her daughter. Then she ends up bringing up all the stuff, that bad specifically negative things that people said about me at work. I used too much tissue, specifically around my period, this and that, and little petty stuff, and just trying to evidently throw jabs at me to hurt me. And I'm like, I'm listening to your hurt, and you're taking a moment to say all the negative things people specifically said to me about me at work, and you're smirking. You have a smirk on your face. But then when my cousin came in the scene, she acted like she wasn't saying that. And my cousin, unfortunately, believed her and was taking her side. So it turned out to feel like I was being attacked from both ends. So anyways, after that, I started to bang on her sidebar of like inside the car, like stop this, stop, because I know I was being psychologically manipulated and abused, and letting her do that for so many times. And then also going into stores where I gave her money and was buying her stuff, she was stealing. And there was a time when the actual person from the discount store, the owner, said that they caught her not online, but really is more like a camera, stealing. They said, I know that you don't steal because every time I rewind the cameras, I never see you stealing, but she stole. So I went back and chose to pay the person back. And different places she stole from, when we went out to the outlet, she asked me to go out to the outlet in New Jersey to get her grandson something, and I gave her half the money for it, or a lot of them, most of the money for it, because I know she was going through a hard time. I love children. But anyways, she stole different stuff from there, the little other centers. And I gave one to the baby because the baby was crying. I didn't know she stole from there at the time. I was like, I guess she bought it because I'm looking around myself. And the baby threw the toy at some point while he was in a stroller. And she got so angry. She said, why did you allow him to lose a toy? Where is it? Because I went through so much to steal it. And I didn't even know she stole it. It was like she snapped. And I thought that was kind of strange that she would get angry over something she stole being lost, and that she even stole in the first place. And when I addressed her at some point about her stealing, she told me it's because she just wanted to see if she can get away with it. And I guess at some point she lost some type of control over her life, some power over her life. Maybe she felt that way, even though she had some control over her life. And that was her way of getting it back in that unhealthy way. But anyways, she, on that day at the beach, tried to dehumanize me. So I got angry, and I started to hit the side where they keep, the little papers and stuff in the car. She claimed it broke, even though it really didn't break. Pardon me, not broke, break. And my cousin admitted it didn't break, even though he was taking her side at the time. Anyways, he realized that she was lying, habitually lying, and she admitted she was wrong. She went and told all these different people at the job I broke her thing, even though it wasn't really broken. She admitted a lot of things after I ended up going back to the job years later, after the DOE dropped me for not being able to pass one test, the last test I need to not graduate, but the last test I need to be fully certified as a school teacher. I wasn't able to pass it on time because I was on a COVID license. They dropped me, so I ended up going back to the same job, and she happened to be there still. And she apologized then, and she said sorry for all the things she did to hurt me, and she mistreated me. And I was shocked, and I felt that was very brave of her, very empowering of her, very beautiful of her. She don't owe me an apology. She owes God an apology, because she was habitually mistreating, misusing, taking advantage, and essentially abusing psychologically and emotionally a child of Yahweh. And she's also a child of Yahweh. We're both no better than each other. We both are priceless miracles from Jehovah, and everyone on the earth is as well. And I know she was going through a tough time, but it's not all about her, me, or anyone else. We all have things we've been through. We've all been through losses. We've all been through hurt, being mistreated by, someone we truly loved, and not being taken seriously by someone we love. It's our choice to say, I've been through all this hurt. I want to treat people better based on this. I want to learn from this. I don't want anyone to ever have to go through what I went through. And I'm sure they might have, but anyway, I don't want to re-traumatize them. So I'm going to I want to be a healer in this world. I want to be a supporter in this world. I want to support people in supporting and helping themselves. I don't want to become a part of and stay a part of the traumas. We have enough of that. People been through enough. People can choose to do that or remain a product of their past and present and become the hurt that hurt them and remain the hurt that hurt them. We all have choices, but it was brave of her that she apologized, and she seemingly seems to be trying, even though she did other things on the job that hinted in the recent times that she hasn't completely changed. Like when I first came on, she's like, "Have you seen the same certain person that was mistreating her?" She was claiming that was mistreating her, and I believe it, based on certain details. I guess she's lied so much, so I'm not sure if it's some true and not true. Anyways, she's still talking about this person. She claimed that he saw me and we were, together and such, lies and lies upon lies. And then trying to talk to me, ask me for different things in my class that I need. Not really sure if she truly changed, because when my boys came in about her attire, and we have certain things that we're supposed to wear on certain days as far as colors. She's like, "Oh, Simona doesn't have that." Listen, I'm wearing what I have. That's what you can tell the boss. I cannot afford to rebuy my wardrobe and wear pink on Friday and this color on that day, because I am on a fixed budget. Biweekly plus biweekly check equals my rent and utilities, and I live like I'm dirt poor already, and I walk to work every day and walk home from work every day. So I can't squeeze any extra, expenses in my life. She could have told her that, but she's like, "Oh, look at Simona," just finding a way to tie me in it and drag me down. So in my instinctions based on the habitual evidence, I'm like, she hasn't completely changed. I don't know if I could completely trust her. I'm going to keep this on the surface level and just keep it professional. And she was calling me. I had her blocked for a long time. I unblocked her because I was like gaslighting myself. I'm like, she seems like she's changed. Am I being too hard? I don't want to judge people. And she was calling me one time at 6 something, another time at 9 something at night, and different times calling me, and I didn't answer. And I came to her at work in the recent times, and I went aside where other adults weren't there. And I just told her, "I'm sorry I missed your calls. I just want to keep it professional. I want to learn from my past mistakes." I didn't say it in a cruel way. I want to still show her compassion as another priceless human being on this planet. Okay? And she's like, "I got friends." I getting all defenseful. And then she asks my boss if she can take her children to the gym, and proceeded to look very angry from then. And she started to go back to where she looked like she wasn't angry and was asking me for little things here and there, from day to day. "Oh, do you have scissors? Do you have glue? Do you have this?" And seeming like she's trying to change, but I don't completely trust it. And even if she did completely change, I don't know that, unless Jehovah pushes some habitual evidence in my presence that this is complete change. And nobody's completely changed. Everyone's struggling. But because of the many significant past traumatic situations between us, and me going over there helping her clean up, me giving her lots of money, me being a support to her emotionally even when I don't go home and sleep, me giving her money for gas when she chose to drive us around different places, to the mall or to go somewhere to eat, I mostly was taking out of my pocket. I mostly was listening to her and then holding her information in my heart as a sister. I didn't get angry at her and pour out all this stuff out there that were lies just to ease myself. So in essence, I was being more of a friend than she ever was to me. So I didn't see that it was more of an overall mutual pour into each other. I saw that it was more of an abusive situation where people are habitually doing things to psychologically jab at you and emotionally hurt you, look into the set of their eyes, smirking and looking hurt still themselves. That is what particular individuals do that are abusive. They hurt you time and time again, and then they're like, I love you, I'm sorry, it was because I was trying to protect you." I dragged my boss to the front and accused you of being schizophrenic and crazy mentally because I wasn't unsure. It's always an excuse. They're not telling the truth about because they felt insecure, because they felt like you might abandon them, because they felt like threatened by you speaking up for yourself. Everything is an excuse. "Oh, I implied you was a hoe, a loose booty because, my daughter made some mistakes and I'm disappointed in her even though I'm doing no better." It's always an excuse. Oh, I accused you and insinuated you are being a child molester, even though you evidently aren't and never did and never will be through the graces of Yahweh. I'd rather execute myself before that even comes to me. I just did that because I felt like you were cleaning them more than I would be willing to do. And I felt a little intimidated and jealous, so I sabotaged you in that moment. They're not going to admit that. Everything is always an excuse, but not taking healthy accountability. Now, she did take healthy accountability in regards finally to why she was stealing. She wanted to feel like she could get away with it. But she didn't think about how we could have both got arrested and we could have both got in trouble. And they could have thought I was the watch person. But thank God the cameras can see I wasn't stealing. Thank God the cameras couldn't see I wasn't looking both ways. And I evidently didn't have any knowledge. Thank God. So thank you to Yahweh, Jah Jehovah, and the ultimate praises. We all have more constructive and positive aspects about us, and then we also have more unhealthy and toxic self-absorbed ways. Pardon me. We can evidently choose. There's this old Native American proverb that basically says we all have good and bad in us. And it's the side that we feed, basically, that takes over us. And that's evidently accurate and true. We all have some toxicity in us from past, present traumas, from being born in sin. We all have temptation in front of us at a click of a button. Even when we involuntarily, watch TV, things could pop up that are very overly sexualized. And we could choose to quickly skip it or feed into it. So we're all faced with temptations on a daily basis. We've all been traumatized in different ways and degrees. And we've all been through losses and heartbreaks. We all evidently been through things interchangeably. So we can choose to remain in that. We could choose to remain and be that. Or we can choose to say, this really hurt me. This really messed me up. And I don't want anybody to go through re-traumatizing themselves based on what they've been through too. And I don't know what they've been through completely because the only life I've lived is my own. But I'm pretty sure we've all been through stuff. And people open up to you sometimes and you're like, man, they've been through a lot too. So I don't want to add to it because I know what I've been through and I know what they've shared that they've been through. And even if they didn't share with me, we're all living on this planet. I'm sure they've been through things too. So why would I want to add to it knowing that the pain it caused me? We can choose to do that, or we can choose to re-traumatize people because we're evidently feeding more into our self-absorbedness and feeding more into our selfishness, self-absorbedness. It's the same thing. We could choose to become the abuse that we lived through. We could choose to hurt people because of the heartache we've been through, which we've all been through, but it's no logic to it. It's not going to heal you. It's not going to take away from what already passed. It's going to make you a product of what happened to you. And those people will have controlled you because not only did they traumatize you, they got to control you by what they did to you. And now you've become it. So you're no better in essence. So I'm sharing this message to empower individuals in the community to healthily and continuously engage in healthy self-reflection. Continue to accept healthy accountability. This happened to me, that happened to me, and this is still hurting me. I acknowledge it. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to continue to explore what this may be, what I'm feeling, and explore healthier ways to move past this and heal. Because my life is a graced miracle, and I don't want to waste it by giving that person the power that hurt me to continue to rob me of the rest of my life. They don't deserve that. And there are some people who have deeply hurt others that are doing all they can to change right now, and I applaud you, and I'm here to support you. It takes a lot of bravery and strength to acknowledge that you allowed the toxicity to take over you and become toxic yourself and make those healthy changes. It's a battle that we will never completely be 100% in this lifetime. But as long as you're continuously striving to work on yourself and Jehovah sees your heart, that you're truly trying and all our flaws and all, Jehovah will continue to bless you and continue to prosper you. despite all of our flaws and all. It's about being intentional, being overall honest, and continuously remaining consistent about yourself. No one cannot force you to acknowledge your mishaps. You're holding on to the sadness and traumas and not remaining proactive about healing. You're listening to sad and downing sad music that makes you feel more in the dumps. You're not really looking online for free and resourceful information and practicing the healthier coping mechanisms and habits. You're not going to the scriptural based discourses. No one can force you to go to scriptural based discourses and continuously heed the enlightenment and apply it. No one can force you to continuously strip off the old and put on the new and put on the Christ. That's more thinking of others as yourself and even more superior than yourself, and being humble and striving to live more of a life that's healthy and refrain from over drinking alcohol, refrain from drugs, things that can heighten your mania and heighten your misbehavior. Staying away from sleeping around without the benefits of marriage. Really, somebody who really truly loves you, Jehovah, will marry you. What's holding them back after years upon years? No one cannot force you to practice healthier morals and habits. It's up to you. They can support you. They can listen to you for hours, days, months, decades. They can share all the wealth that they barely have with you. They can sacrifice their career and life to support you, but it's up to you in essence, and each and every one of us rather, to apply the constructive admonishment continuously and be honest with ourselves about our part that we play in continuously staying stuck. We can evidently grow past it, and Jehovah proves that, and many people have proved that over the years, but it takes our honesty, our habitual honesty and consistency. Much love from Hopeful Uproar. I'm losing my breath. I suffer again with a lot of allergies and asthma, but I felt moved to share this story from watching some forensics on TV that happened to pass. And I can't watch too much of that either because I'll get nightmares, but I do like to be aware of what's going on. And I think of these as cautionary tales. You know, if you get that strong instinct in your soul system, because I believe we have more than 5 senses, it's better to heed it than not to heed it. And let Jehovah show you the evidence later. And if you're wrong about something, it's nothing wrong with apologizing, but at least you were safe than sorry. And ladies, gentlemen, no one deserves to be a habitual punching bag, because everyone has evidently been through traumas, challenges. You're not the only one. You don't know what everybody has gone through, because the only life you live was your own. I'm losing my breath, so I'm saying words ungrammatically. So just let me end it here. Much love and support to all of you. And please feel free to continue to browse, like, and or subscribe. I am really grateful for every single one of you. Let's empower each other to not remain a product of what happened to us. And your habitual abuse, you will pay for. No matter what you've gone through, whatever you habitually do, and Jehovah knows you have enough understanding of it, you will reap it, because you know better than anyone else. Your past and present challenges and traumas is not more than anyone else. You don't know what they exactly went through, because the only life you lived, again, is your own. So you can't say what was more or less. Plus, we all have a different way of perceiving things, so that plays a factor in not saying who went through more or less. What may be a lot to me may not be a lot for you. What may be a lot for you may not be a lot for me. So there's so many different factors as to why we shouldn't even be saying that in the first place. But anyways, it's in Jehovah's hands. You're better than that, but it's up to you to believe it and live it. Take care. Till next time.